In the span of 6 months, more than 23,000 dolphins were slaughtered in Japan. Rick O'Barry was born in 1941. When he was in his mid-20s, he was cast to be the lead actor in the famous television series Flipper. This show became the first of many appearances of trained dolphins. Being the main person the dolphins would be acting with, it was Rick's job to train the 5 dolphins they had captured for the movie. At the time, Rick was oblivious to the consequences that would come from this capturing of the dolphins. In his words, he was more worried about the money he was making and less about the consequences. From this, SeaWorld and the slaughters have severely impacted the dolphins' population. Hopefully this speech will show you what is going on in the world so you can make the decision to take a stand against it. Rick O'Barry first started his Save the Dolphins campaign in 1973 when Kathy, one of the Flipper dolphins used in the original filming, killed herself. According to Rick, he could see how depressed she was from being captured and taken away from her family and her eyes. She swam into his arms one night where she took her last breath. From that moment on, Rick knew he had to destroy the dolphin industry he worked so hard to build up. The Cove is a documentary that Rick O'Barry and his team made in an effort to expose the 6-month slaughter of the 23,000 plus dolphins that takes place in Japan each year. Throughout his documentary, a lot more than just the slaughters became exposed. Along with that, the forced feeding of mercury-poisoned meat to the Japanese and the corruption that is present in the government was also uncovered. The Japanese government has a major involvement in the mercury poisoning that takes place in Taiji and the surrounding areas. The dolphin meat that is being consumed has levels of mercury as high as 4.2, 4 times the allowed levels by FDA regulations. This contaminated meat is being force-fed to the citizens, whether they are aware of this or not. In the Japanese schools, the kids are fed this meat, which they are required to eat all of. Also, in the grocery stores, the dolphin meat is being labeled as whale and other kinds of meat in order for it to sell. Although the government is fully aware of this taking place, they are making no effort to prevent it. Instead, the government is defending this, saying the dolphins are not contaminated and in turn are safe to eat. After this was said, a test was done on 1,000 citizens in order to test their hair for mercury poisoning. From this test, a high 80% of the participants tested to have some trace of mercury in their system. Since the Cove was released, the sale of dolphin meat has dropped 30%. The government has also been defending the way the poachers have killed the dolphins. First, they tell the poachers the dolphins need to be killed. To them, the dolphins are a nuisance to the town and need to be hunted, just like deer. Also, the government tells the poachers to kill them in any way possible. They say that they kill the dolphins in the most humane way possible by plugging their blowholes so they stop breathing without having to suffer too much, when in fact this is far from true. As shown in the video, the poachers thrust their spears into the water without any regard for what the dolphins feel. By doing so, the dolphins suffer by slowly bleeding out to death in the water while trying to swim for their freedom. Although it is impossible for one person to stop the slaughtering, there are different actions people can take to stop it from happening any longer. On SaveJapanDolphins.org, you can sign a petition, donate money to the cause, write a letter to your government officials, and take the pledge not to support aquariums. With the petition, they are trying to reach 1 million signatures so they can take it to the government in an effort to stop the allowing of the slaughters. Donating money will go to funding the hidden cameras and bail money, since he's been to jail over 1,000 times trying to expose this operation, and making public notices. With aquariums, they will only stay in business and keep capturing sea creatures as long as people continue to go. If people start to go less or not go at all, the businesses will be forced to close their doors and let the animals go free. Also, you can buy or rent the movie and share what you saw with others in order to get the word out. Rick O'Barry has spent his life trying to destroy the industry he worked so hard to build up. Through the Cove, he has helped expose the evils that are happening in Japan, but he can't do it alone. Speak for those who can't speak for themselves before it's too late. And there's my speakers and the camera guy.